ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Bacon Fieldhouse on the campus of Westminster College for tonight's matchup between the Minnesota State University Mount Caro Mavericks and your Westminster Griffins. Let's introduce the starting lineups. First of all, for the visiting Mavericks, a 5'11" sophomore from Maplewood, Minnesota, number 5, Olivia Garvey. A 5'11" junior from Annandale, Minnesota, number 10, Morgan Olson. A 5'7" sophomore from Kenyon, Minnesota, number 11, Mara Kwong. 5'7" sophomore from Aubrey, Texas, number 12, Michaela Porter. A 6-foot junior from Wells, Minnesota, number 16, Anissa Jenzik. A 5'8" junior from Spirit Lake, Iowa, number 20, Joey Feldman. And a 6-foot sophomore from Coal Valley, Illinois, number 23, Ashton Lee. The Mavericks are coached by Lori Rittenhouse-Wolmuth. Assistant coaches are Joe Klein and Sabrina Gonzalez. And now welcome your Westminster College Griffins. She is a 5'3" junior from Cottonwood Heights, Utah, number 2, Hannah Stearman. 5'10" and a freshman from Helena, Montana, number 3, Katie Culver. A 5'10" junior from Provo, Utah, number 5, Aggie S. Olson. She is a 6'1" sophomore from Bermuda Dunes, California, number 6, Taylor Harvey. A 5'10" sophomore from Salt Lake City, number 12, Audrey Green. And a 6'1" junior from Tooele, Utah, number 16, Sydney Simmons. The Griffins are coached by Al Gibbons and Stephanie Jones-Moran. The athletic trainer for women's volleyball is Matt Bird.
What a time to be back as the final game of the Westminster Invitational will come to a close right here as the Westminster Griffins take on Minnesota State University Mankato, the Mavericks, as the Griffins and Mavericks are going to close off the 2-day eventful weekend here inside the Bacon Fieldhouse. And we thank you for joining us live on the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference Network, live in Salt Lake City, Utah, as the Griffins look for a victory on this historic day in Westminster College history. Thank you guys for stopping by and tuning in, no matter where you may be listening to us from. My name is David Vito. Thank you for joining me on a final night, Saturday night, Labor Day weekend. No matter where you're listening to us from east to west, north to south, thank you for making us a part of your Labor Day weekend. It's been a great weekend so far here, as we've seen one team go unbeaten. That was Tremont State, the team that took on the Westminster Griffins earlier today. Fort Lewis goes 0-4 in the 2-day event here in Salt Lake City, and we're underway now. First serve goes to Westminster Griffins. That one's going to sail out of play and miss everything, and the first points goes to Westminster. So 1-0 for the team in purple. Hard shot's going to bounce off the side of Westminster's Taylor Harvey. And the first points now for the Mavericks are on the board. As that was Olivia Garbe who got that one.
At the
Point goes to Westminster on that kill as Katie Culver, the freshman, strikes there. Westminster, once again, the 5-team event on a 2-day special here in Salt Lake City. We had Tremont State, they went unbeaten in it. Westminster got 1 win so far, looking for their second. Fort Lewis Skyhawks didn't win a game, unfortunately, but they learned a lot about their team and new head coach, Teresa Melfi. Lubbock Christian University just had a great outing in their last game as they played tough against Tremont State. And then finally, the team that's taking on the Griffins, the Mavericks right now.
Serving for Westminster, number 2, Hannah Stearman.
As Stearman will come in and serve this one away for the Griffins. That one's going to bounce off Audrey Green, who just misses that one. And we're all tied up 3-3. As a kill goes to Jang for the Mavericks. That's Anisha Jazig, I should say. I apologize for that. I do. As Lauren Lowry sends it the other way to the Griffin side. Stearman takes a tumble, but somehow, some way gets the ball to the other side. But the Griffins can't keep it in play after it goes out of bounds. So the first time, the Mavericks get the 1-0 lead. Culver hit that one high. There'll be a penalty against the Mavericks. Point Griffins.
Now in the Griffin lineup and serving number 10, Amber Lamborn.
As Amber Lamborn checks in to serve this one away for Westminster. Hard shot, out of play, out of bounds. Griffin point. Serve from the Griffins go cleanly to the other side of the Mavericks. As the Mavericks can control the tempo for a moment before hitting it out of bounds once again. So the Mavericks are starting to shoot themselves in the foot with a couple of early mistakes, and hopefully that doesn't cost them down the stretch here. The Mavericks are coming off a victory in the earlier game against Fort Lewis, where they beat them in 3 sets, where you heard our very own producers producing the game, call the game earlier in Devin and Noah. They know they had a good time. They had some great experience calling the game, and they had some fun. And some notes they gave me was, watch out for Morgan Olson, who had a great game against the Skyhawks. Is now serving away for Westminster, Jaylee Lindenbauer. Bumped, set, and spiked hard, but blocked off Westminster's hands and out of bounds for another point for the Mavericks.
Serving number 16, Anissa Jensen.
Lamborn hits that one out of bounds. And we're tied again at 7-7. Head coach is Al Givens. His record here at Westminster is 32-79 after being named head coach. Coming from Weber State, also had spent some time in Texas, where he told me his story before today's game that he beat the University of Texas when they were ranked in the top 5 during his time as a head coach out there. And one reason why is because his team really responded from the last time Texas beat them pretty good. and he made sure his team didn't remember that loss. And he tells me that's one reason why it was a key victory, that he beat a top 5 team at the University of Texas. So Al Givens, a great coach all around. He gets the best out of his players each and every time. As that'll be a point Mavericks once again as they're on top 9-8. As again, Olivia Garby gets the kill and sent over the other way as Michaela Porter. And that's a diving play by Mara Quam, who couldn't hold on to it, and it bounces off her hands and out of play. That'll be a kill for Westminster. And another point for Westminster off an ace. Ace from number 5, Aggie Roes Olsen. Blocked, bumped back the other way into the defensive side for the Mavericks, and they find a way to get it past the tall defender in Taylor Harvey. One thing the Mavericks had the advantage for against Fort Lewis is Fort Lewis's defense wasn't up to par at times against the attackers of the Mavericks. But one thing about Westminster, they've got a good attacking front line, especially with Audrey Green right there in front. She causes some problems for any outside hitter that tries to get it by her. And she's obviously the leading attacker for Westminster this season in the early stages. As the next game after this, the Griffins will be heading to South Dakota to start the RMAC season as an official member of D2. Stearman bumps it back over to the other side of the Mavericks end. And that block will be off the hands of Westminster up front and hit out of play for another kill for the Mavericks. And the Griffins get revenge with bumping it off the hands of the Mavericks and out of play for a point of their own. Griffins are hanging tight, 12-11. As you see, number 14 check in, Lydia Miller, had been almost the surprise star of this weekend for the Westminster Griffins. Has really had a good outing in these 2 days and playing her 4th game for Westminster. And Al Gibbons even said she's doing a lot of things that a freshman's not supposed to do. And she's having success doing it. And speaking of freshmen, how about the freshman Katie Culver with a kill right there? Audrey Green serves this one away. Culver's got 3 kills along with Audrey Green to lead the team for Westminster. Hard shot's going to go back down to Green. Stearman gets it over to Miller, who no one touches it, and it'll be hit out of bounds. And the Mavericks are back on top. That'll be an attack error for Lydia Miller. So Audrey Green, she's hitting 3 out of 4 so far, 3 kills out of 4 attempts. And how about that block up front by Taylor Harvey? And next to her was number 3, Katie Culver again. So far, 4 digs to 3 in favor of the Westminster Griffins. 3 digs have went to Audrey Green. Stearman sends this one to the other side. That was a great hit to send it back over the Westminster side by the Mavericks. So the Griffins are blocking shots, but blocking it out of play for another kill for the Mavericks. That was a kill by number 10, Morgan Olsen. The assist went to Quam. Lauren Lowry on the serve. Sydney Simmons with the kill.
Number 16, Sydney Simmons for the Griffins.
Good back and forth game. The Griffins have been watching this Mavericks team play and taking some quick notes when they played against Fort Lewis. Lydia Miller with the kill for the Griffins in the back on top.
Lydia Miller.
Lamborn will get the service error, hitting the net off that serve. Possession arrow will go to the Mavericks. Good shot by Lydia Miller, her second kill right there as she checks out. Checking in, Jalen Lindenbauer. Number 4, who will come in and serve with a 1-point lead. I really do like this matchup the Griffins have against the Mavericks. That's why I truly believe Al Gibbons and his staff can pull out a victory here in the final game of the RMAC Westminster Invitational. As Garbe got another kill for the Mavericks. That is her 5th kill of the contest. Audrey Green with a great kill for Westminster. Get the lead back in favor for the Griffins.
At the service line for Westminster, number 16, Sydney Simmons.
Sydney Simmons checks in to serve this one to the Maverick side. Lamborn with a great dig to send it to the Mavericks area. And the Griffins are back on the attack. Point Griffins off an error for Olivia Garbe. Audrey Green with a huge shot right there. Hit the cheek of the Mavericks. But the play continues. Great play there by Aggie Rosenson. As there's a timeout on the floor, the Griffins lead by 3. Starting to get loud in the field house. We'll be back right after this. Testing, can you guys hear me still? Back here on the RMAC Network, the way the tournament started out here in the Westminster Invitational, it didn't look pretty for this Mavericks team, as they fell in 3 straight sets to Truman State. And that was the first game to open up the tournament. But since then, they went 5 sets with Lubbock Christian, Texas, and then swept Fort Lewis, and they're in a battle here in Salt Lake for their final night in town with the Westminster Griffins. So the Griffins celebrated, almost cost themselves, but the official luckily said, you get the point, that's a kill for the Griffins. And it goes to Taylor Harvey. Audrey Green with the kill, hits that one off the hands of Quam, the outside hitter, who's a sophomore. Couldn't handle the Audrey Green on that play. As 21-17, the Griffins are on top here in Salt Lake City. Timeout again on the floor. We'll be back in 60 seconds. So I have the mics muted right now. You guys can still hear me? I don't think this is going on the broadcast, though. This might be one way that I can at least communicate with you guys. Five, four, three, two, one. Hard shot, and Stearman's reaction says it all. Dang it. Just hits the end of the corner on the Griffin side for the 18th point for the Mavericks, who are trying to fight back here in set one. Audrey Green hits it out of bounds. 19th point. And now the Griffins will take a timeout. We'll be right back after this.
The Fair Fielded and Suites by Marriott, an official lodging partner of Westminster Athletics. The Fair Fielded and Suites, ideal for travelers.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Back here 21-19 in favor of the Westminster Griffins. Make it 22-19 after that kill by Audrey Green. Another point for Westminster. Ball handling error goes against Westminster. Point Mavericks, 23-20. Griffins need 2 more points to cap off the victory in set 1. That one's going to hit the back end behind Stearman once again. And the Griffins will take another timeout. Leaders so far, Audrey Green with 6 kills. On the other side, Garberry's got 6 of her own. So they're tied of overall leaders as Audrey Green is 6 for 10 with kills and total attacks. Having a good time here in Salt Lake City, Utah. We hope everyone's enjoying their Labor Day weekend. And we hope that you've had a great time watching the Westminster Invitational with us here at on the campus of Westminster College, I should say. It's a beautiful college here, and obviously very respected for what they do in and off the classrooms, in and out of the classroom. Let's say that right. Back at it, action, fast and furious again. Kill for number 14, Lydia Miller. 1 point away from a set 1 victory. Stearman serves it for Westminster on a set point. The Griffins will not get the set point. Instead, the Mavericks will extend this set out with a kill by number 10, Morgan Olson. Knocked out of play. Mavericks still alive here in set 1. Looking to tie it up right here, Lauren Lowry. And the Griffins hit it out of play, and we're tied up 24-24. Remember, you have to win by 2. Both teams have no more timeouts left to be played. Coaches have to strategize with just communicating with the players on the floor. Mavericks are rolling here. They're starting to heat up here at the end of set 1. It's almost like the Griffins have a look of defeat on their face. You don't want that look. The Mavericks are basically toying with them if they have that look. The Griffins need to find the energy right here to end this set. Griffins tie it up with a miscommunication by the Mavericks, and you see the frustration after the play from Dana Scheidler as we're even at 25 again. Bad set goes to Lowry. Whitney Wickfield checks in. And serving this one away, Katie Jaycox, who checks in for the first time in set 1. Tap over the net cleanly. Sydney Simmons with the kill. Griffins back on top. Wakefield bumps it off the hands of a few Mavericks who tried to block it. They blocked it, but out of bounds. First set goes to Westminster, 27-25. We'll be back with set 2 next on the RMAC Network. Can you hear me now, Devin? How sweet it is. Set 1 goes to the Westminster Griffins in a thrilling first set on the final game of the Westminster Invitational. Once again on the RMAC Network. Thank you guys for stopping by and tuning in. Set 2, Griffins are on top. Looking to hopefully cap off a victory in the nightcap and go 2-2 in the tournament. Green was blocked up at the net. That block's going to go to number 23, Ashton Lee, the outside hitter, the sophomore from Coal Valley, Illinois. Puts the early 1-0 lead in favor for the Mavericks. Audrey Green tried to get a kill there. She won't get it in set 2 just yet. Stearman dives. Hits the floor, misses it, unfortunately, for a 2-0 lead for the Mavericks. Scoring update, the Westminster Griffins are on up 2-0 in men's soccer in the 83rd minute. Danny Dorelli got his first goal. Also, Gavin Flinton scored his first goal of the season back at the 62-minute mark. Set up high, and that's going to be an illegal set. Point goes to Westminster.
Serving for Westminster,
That one's going to go way high. And at a play for an ace for the Griffins. Aggie Roes Olsen with the ace. Diving play to keep it alive for the Mavericks. Hard shot, nearly hits the scores table. Almost hit Noah, who was supposed to be producing with Devin, who's at the scores table. I think Devin would say he should have got what he deserves if he would have been hit in the face on that play. Luckily, everyone's okay though down there. A little tap over the net like Happy Gilmore. Just tap it in. Tap it over the net in a volleyball term. Kill goes to Ashton Lee. Hard shot from Green. Kill. Chalk it up another one. Tied 4-4.
Serving for Westminster, number 12, Andre Green.
Bumped, set, spiked, and blocked at the net. Unfortunately, the officials take the point away from Westminster, hand it to the Mavericks as the block went out of bounds. Error goes against the Mavericks, who were 15-13 last year, 9-11 in conference, as they will hit the road after Salt Lake City to begin the NSIC conference trip, as they are looking to bounce back after last year, and their record so far is 6-1. Their only loss came here in that first match, as they will be heading back to take on Winona State on September 6th. That will kick off conference play for them, NSIC. And their next home game isn't until September 8th when they take on Upper Iowa back in the Taylor Center. And we got a good game here, back and forth, 7-5 the score in favor of Minnesota State University, Mankato. They are led by head coach Lori Rittenhouse Walmuth, who is adjusting on the fly as she stands up and coaches this Mavericks team. Right in the middle, a perfect shot, Sydney Simmons with the kill. Amber Lamborn checks in for Katie Culver.
Now in the lineup to serve for the Griffins, number 10, Amber Lamborn.
And we're keeping an eye on the Westminster soccer team too, as they'll be back here. We're going to have a bit of a similar style of games next week, but soccer style, with the men's and women's soccer team returning from their road trips this weekend. Point goes to the Mavericks. Kill went to Scheiman, the outside hitter who's a junior. As you can see, Westminster, Sydney Simmons just had to quickly tie her shoe before this first serve heads over to the other side. Westminster side, that is, who trail by 2. Make it 3 now. Audrey Green hits it out of play. That'll be an attack error correction to Lydia Miller, not Audrey Green. Audrey Green starts this one off over to Sydney Simmons. Simmons finds the line and hits it every time. Perfect play. Gets the kill for the Westminster Griffins.
Now serving for Westminster, number 4.
That's her 5th kill of the set. Only behind Audrey Green with 8. Blocked at the net and out of bounds. Mavericks, they built momentum to end that last set. But the Griffins capitalized on it and took set 1 away from them. The Mavericks, they did not like that, and they've came out a little bit different style here in set 2. Audrey Green sets it up high. Blocked up the net, but the Griffins cannot get the point. Audrey Green spikes it down. Another kill for Green, her 8th. Correction, it's actually her 9th. They just added it. So 9 kills so far in 2 sets. Simmons on the serve. Hard spike. Right sliced and diced the defense and found the spot that was nice and just right for a kill. For Shadler.
For the Mavericks, number 12, Michaela Porter.
Serving this one to the other side is Porter, as Green bounces it off the skull of the players up front. And if I'm looking at number 23, Ashton Lee, she might have a cast on her right hand, almost like a broken finger, because she's got a thumb out, and then the rest of it's basically a cast, and that's an error for Olivia Garbe. Aggie Roes Olsen. Set up high. Hard spike right down the middle for a kill. That's Morgan Olsen. Devin and Noah, when they were on the broadcast, talked a lot about her and the way she sliced through the defense of Fort Lewis. Making a name for herself here in Salt Lake. Green gets blocked up front at the net. That's going to be a kill and a block to Haley Shaman. Timeout Westminster, who trail by 3. We'll be back right after this on the RMAC Network.
Griffin fans, don't forget the concession stand is open on the west side of the field house next to the entrance.
Serving for the Mavericks, number 5, Olivia Garbe. But the serve does not help as the Griffins get a kill from Taylor Harvey. And now the lead shrinks to 2 for the Mavericks. Audrey Green will serve it away for Westminster. And that one's going to sail out of bounds. Point Mavericks. Miller gets blocked at the net, and there'll be another point added to the score for the Mavericks from Minnesota State University of Mankato. Mankato serves it away. Culliver with the kill for Westminster. Stearman serves it to the other side for the Westminster Griffins. And it'll bounce off the hands of Roes Olsen. And it'll be another kill for the Mavericks of Lowry. And that's a service ace for Garbe. Actually, it's going to go to Lauren Lowry, who got the last kill, so try to give a point where a point wasn't supposed to be at. And Lowry will get the service ace. And then a nice little bump set spike where Schindler will get the kill from the 18th point. Green had to go down low to get that one. Sydney Simmons blocked at the net, and the Mavericks are cruising. They're not on cruise control yet, but they're 6 points away from capping off set 2 victory. And Al Gibbons will use his final timeout, as he's going to talk to Roes Olsen. One thing I say this every year on the broadcast. You can see it sometimes when Westminster's calling a timeout, but the players on the bench will usually run a couple laps up and down on the sideline. I don't know if it's just to stay warm. It's something I'm guaranteeing you I will find out of why Al Gibbons and his players do that during a timeout, because it's very fascinating to me. For the 4th year I'm entering here as the voice of the Westminster Griffins, I think I've said it before in previous broadcasts. I just never had the chance to really sit down and really ask some players about it. I think we're going to get some more opportunities about a lot of interesting things this year. As make sure you guys tune in to WestminsterGriffins.com for the latest news and notes regarding this season. And it looks like the Westminster Griffins men's team just capped off a victory as Alec Marshall netted his first goal of the season. And we're back to action. Griffins down by 7. Make it 6 now. (19-13) the score. Mavericks will get the 20th point right there in set 2. A little tap over the net from Miller. Gets it to the Mavericks side. Can the Griffins get it back once more to their side? And they will, but a penalty will come with it and a point given to the visitors. Mavericks tap it over and diving play to keep it alive for Westminster's defense. And the Griffins starting to fall once again. And it's not fatigue, it's just this team of Minnesota State University has adjusted really well since set one. And a nice little soft serve there. Almost fooled the Westminster Griffins. And Hannah Stearman says, let's go, we got this. We're right back in it.
Number 4, Jamie Lindenbauer.
So Audrey Green does have 10 kills as another ace goes for the Westminster Griffins, but also does Olsen on the other side. Those two are competing for the top leader of this game. So far we're even. And Audrey Green just one-upped her with the block right there. Serving it away for the Griffins. Lindenbauer as he goes back to Stearman. And that is not a good sign, as I don't know what exactly happened. Sydney Simmons just kind of fell on her ankle. That was kind of a scary thing to see right there. And she walks off really slow, and she was on the floor really awkwardly after that. As we'll see, Kendra Dekanich will check in for the injured Sydney Simmons. So Ketra Dekanich checks in. (16-22). A legal hit goes against the Mavericks. Can the Griffins mount a comeback here and get on top by 2 sets? Bad set goes to Lowry on the stat sheet. Hard shot's going to bounce off the hands of Dekanich. And that's how the 23rd point will fall for the Mavericks. Anisha Janzig sends it up high, and that hits the top right of the ceiling, right in the middle of the line. And I've seen that ball hit backboards. I've seen it go through the hoop. I've never seen the official blow the whistle when it hits above the rafters. So that's a first for me in the broadcast, but it helped out the Griffins, as they'll give the kill to Whitney Wakefield. Sydney Simmons getting worked on. We'll keep an eye on that on the broadcast. Griffins, did they touch it? No, they didn't. Comebacks on, 19-23. Another point for Westminster. That's a bad attempt on the other side, and it'll be an attack error against the Mavericks. Dekanich with another serve to the other side. Blocked, still alive though. Too many hits, Audrey Green couldn't catch it. Point Mavericks, set point coming their way.
Set point for the Mavericks, number 12,
Michaela Porter looking to close this one out for the Mavericks, but the Griffins are still in it, only down 4. They're already up Kept alive. Griffin's still in it. Green's going to go up, get blocked at the net. Green gets blocked not once but twice, and that's how we end set 2 with the victory for the Mavericks. We'll take a timeout, be back with the third set of action. Griffins look upset after that one ended. Hopefully you can find some firepower to end set 3.
Serving for the Griffins, number 5, Aggie Olsen.
Griffins looking to start set 3 with intensity as they fell in set 2 to make it an even 1-1 series. As we guarantee we'll get to see 4 sets at minimum here in the final day of the Westminster Invitational. As the point goes to the Westminster Griffins. That one's going to go up high near the stands. Point Westminster to get a 2-0 lead. Hard spike and had some power on that one. As you saw, Morgan Olsen wasn't messing around there. as a service ace will go to Audrey Green. Green on another serve, 4-1 the score. And chalk up another point for the Mavericks. Mavericks trail by 2. That one's going to bounce off the Westminster Griffins' hands and out of play. And it's going to be a ball handling error that will go in favor of Westminster.
Griffin point. At the service line, number 4, Jamie Lindauer.
5-3, a little tap makes it 5-4 for the Mavericks in favor of the Westminster Griffins, who are leading by 1 now after that Mavericks point. Tap cleanly, kill for Westminster. That's Degenich with the kill. She checked in for Simmons, who is not on the bench right now. She is just trying to fix whatever she tweaked in that ankle. Hard shot there, and a laugh. A smile from Harvey as she thought she had the kill. That's a highlight play for Taylor Harvey if I've ever seen one. That I think she would laugh about in the future. And there's the highlight play she'll be smiling about now. Kill success for Taylor Harvey and a timeout on the floor. Griffins on top by 3 in set 3 on the RMAC Network. We'll be right back. That was a little bit too hard, sending out a play as the Mavericks exhale as they're happy that the Griffins made an error right there. Griffins haven't made a lot of errors here in set 3. A nice little tap goes over. That's going to stay alive. Stearman thought it was going to stay alive, but she looks back to the official. The official says, "I'm sorry, it didn't work out this time." Point Mavericks. And another point for Westminster right there to make it 8-3, 8-6. As for the women's volleyball team, their schedule coming up. Again, they're starting Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference play, heading to South Dakota for a weekend trip at Black Hill State and South Dakota Mines. Al Givens was talking about some things you can do in South Dakota. Obviously, Mount Rushmore is one of them. That maybe it could be a good team building experience if you wanted to do something like that. It'll be a Griffin point right there. As we got a good crowd here for the final game in the RMAC. As some parents are streaming the football game and watching their daughter's volleyball game in the stands. I mean, I would assume maybe their son's playing football somewhere, maybe. And they're watching both sports at the same time. 9-7 the score. Harvey taps it over, but the Mavericks keep it alive. Green gets blocked, and Harvey nearly kept it alive but couldn't. Point Mavericks. Stearman says, I'm not touching that one. Let it go by for a point for our team. Service error against the Mavericks. Taylor Harvey will serve it now for the Griffins. The next home game will be here September 14th. Colorado Mesa comes into town. For the first Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference weekend we'll have, Colorado Mesa and Western State will both be here for a Friday and Saturday weekend. Green spikes it out of play, hits the coach. As the head coach got hit from a hard shot from Audrey Green when her back was turned. So Griffin's still up one though. Green gets it back after being blocked. She'll try once more. This time she sends it over a little bit lighter. Gets it over to the Maverick site. And there'll be a Maverick point off a little tap, as we'll see Porter, the sophomore, send it to the other side. This Mavericks team don't have any seniors for this upcoming year. It's a young team with 5 freshmen, 3 sophomores, 4 sophomores and 3 juniors. That's a young team. You don't see that. We saw that a couple years ago here at Westminster, though, as Westminster's got a young team as well, as a service error goes against the Mavericks once again to put the Griffins back on top by 1. As the women's soccer team is in action as well tonight. So it's been a good night for Westminster athletics all around, as the Griffins are even 1-1 right now in the second half of action, as they're in Texas. So we'll keep an eye on that score as well for the Westminster Griffins, as the volleyball team trails by 1. As the Griffins are slowly starting to lose some momentum here. As another block goes for the Mavericks, who now lead by 1. Who actually now will lead by 1, 13-12 the score.
Now serving number 12, Green.
Green back at to serve for the Westminster Griffins. Shot goes out of play. Point for Westminster as a little bit too much power from Shaman, the outside junior. And this game has been interesting. It's been fun. Back and forth. We're tied again. Green back on the serve. Hard spike will give me a kill for the Mavericks. Bouncing off a couple different Griffins up front. They found a way to poke it through the defense as Lee gets a kill. Two players in double figures in kills for the Mavericks, only one for the Griffins. Kill on the right side up front will go to Morgan Olson. After the kill, we'll see Quam send it away on this serve attempt with the 2-point lead. Up and out of play, error against Westminster. Olson with 12 kills so far, Garbe with 11. Those two lead the way for the Mavericks. Green with 11 for the Griffins. The next closest one's the freshman Coliver with 6. Sydney Simmons had 5 before she went out with an injury. Who is actually back on the floor now for the Westminster Griffins in the middle as Culver chalks up another kill, make it 6 now on the night. Good to see Sydney Simmons back out there. Oh, that one's going to take a shot. And in the broadcast earlier with Devin and Noah, you saw some great kills from Morgan Olson. She's got power. Fort Lewis saw the power a couple times. That's the first time tonight we've seen a power hit from Olson. And I have a feeling as this game gets nearing an end, that's not going to be the last one we see tonight. She's an X factor. As another point goes off a block for the Mavericks. And I'm telling you, when I was producing that game for Devin and Noah to give them a chance to kind of just have a good time broadcasting the game, and I heard them talk about Olson, I see what the excitement was about when they got excited about her kills. As the 19th point now hits the scoreboard here for the Mavericks after a bad set by Lydia Miller. Griffins chalk it up for a point, give it to Lydia Miller. That's her 4th kill of the night. Audrey Green leads in every stat for the Westminster Griffins right now. Total attacks, and including a stat you don't want to lead, that's errors with 7. That was perfectly dug down perfect by Westminster, who keep it on the Mavericks side with the block. Another dig, and it won't be enough this time for West Mini. 20th point hits the scoreboard. Griffins down by 5. Checking into the game, number 3, Jane Sekowicz, who will come in to serve. Harvey gets it back down to 4. A little tap back where Stearman picks up the ball after a kill by her teammate of Taylor Harvey. As Amber Lamborn checks in to serve for Westminster now. Volleyball is so interesting, too. It's an interesting sport where they've got so many substitutions they can use each set. as that one's going to be hit hard, and they're going to say it was not touched by Westminster, as Garbe tried to plead her case to the official, and the Griffins are only down 3 again. But with so many substitution that comes in volleyball, you have a max that you can use in a game. And these coaches are so good of how they plan it. As Stearman kept it alive for Westminster right there. As Green spikes it hard off the front, blockers up front, and gets a kill for Westminster, the 12th one of the night. Timeout by the visitors. That's the first timeout of set 3. Griffins have 2 timeouts. Now the Mavericks have 1. We'll be right back after this timeout on the RMAC Network. It's been a good week for opening football around the Beehive State. The Utes and Weber State had a nice little game to kick off where the Wildcats were on top by 10-0 earlier this week. Last night, Michigan State and Utah State. How about that game where Utah State nearly came away with the victory? BYU and Arizona, the final game of the Beehive teams tonight, as another kill goes to the Mavericks, as we got to support the local teams here in Utah. So hopefully all the teams will have a great season around the Salt Lake Valley and all the way to Utah County, even in St. George, where our RMAC potential rival, Dixie State, their football team has begun as well. Their football team's actually been in the RMAC for a while now, but now all their sports will join them, as this kill will not be successful for Westminster. And we hope you've all had a great time here this weekend with us on the RMAC Network, as a service error will go against Jazig. And the Griffins are only down 3 again. Harvey will be on the serve. And again, we thank you all for tuning in all weekend long. It's been a fun Westminster Invitational here inside the Bacon Fieldhouse in Salt Lake City, Utah. Griffins cannot keep it alive. 23rd point hits the scoreboard. We're tied 1-1 in set 3. Set 4 is coming up next. It will either be the Griffins on top or the Mavericks on top. Mavericks got the edge right now, 23-19. 2 points from back-to-back set victories. Green can't keep that one alive. That was a good back-and-forth volley action. 24th point for the Mavericks. Set point right here with number 12. Porter will serve it away, and we'll get a timeout first from Al Givens before we see that. We'll be right back for potentially the final serve of set 3 here in Salt Lake City. Griffins timeout complete. We're back. Will this be the final serve of set 3? For Porter, who's a sophomore, looking to cap off back-to-back set wins against the Griffins. It won't happen with Audrey Green on the floor. She'll get the kill. Also, the Westminster women's soccer team is heading to overtime, tied 1-1. 90 minutes wasn't enough as start of overtime has begun. And that's the final point of set 3. Griffins fought hard, 25-20. We'll take a timeout. Set 4 could end the Westminster Invitational next on the RMAC Network. .30 Mountain Time. We've been here all day long for the past 2 days. Thank you guys for sticking with us all weekend long. We hope you've enjoyed the RMAC weekend with us. The Westminster Invitational here in the RMAC Network, I should say. Maybe I should get that right. Luckily, this isn't RMAC action just yet here on the broadcast. Griffins will start RMAC play here soon. All sports, as the first kill goes to Taylor Harvey off a block.
Serving number 12, Audrey Green.
How about this, too? I just saw this on social media. RSL tonight broke a record for the most attendance in the stands, and one player explains that. That's Zalta, who's a big star for the LA Galaxy. As it's been a long day, so I do apologize for some of the words that may be used in this fourth set. Stumbling over a couple words with not exhaustion, just non-fuel inside of me. As it's been a fun weekend, though. Seriously, we want to thank everyone that's been a part of it. Obviously, all the producers we've had has been great. Adrian, Devin, and Noah. You know, the cameramen that we've had this weekend as well. As you see, we got an argument with the coach now and the umpire. We don't really see that. Not in volleyball, and I believe that's the assistant coach, if I had to guess. Joe Klan or Sabrina Gonzalez. Block goes down in favor for Westminster. And I'm really interested in what's going to happen with, I believe it's assistant coach Sabrina Gonzalez. She is not happy. After that last point, she even said, that happens every time. Watch it. So she's trying to get one of the Griffins players in trouble. It's not going to work tonight. Griffins get a kill. Serve goes the other way from Jacox. Hard shot, and that took Jacox off her feet as she had to dig that one out some way, somehow. And can't get it. Kill will go in favor of the visitors of the Mavericks. Out of play off the Griffins. Point Mavericks. As you guys can see the scoreboard on your screen, we hope you do like the production we put together. It's a new system this year for volleyball. We tested it out at the end of spring season last year with lacrosse, and that's a great play. As now Joe Klein is up. An upset. He is barking very unsportsmanlike comments to the umpire. Now he puts his hands over his mouth so he doesn't say anything else. He did not like that call at all. Griffins got the point though. They're even now, 4-4. And now make it 5-4. And it's so interesting because head coach Lori Rittenhouse is the one standing near her players on the side. As Al Givens, he stands and sits next to his assistant coach, Stephanie Joan Morin, as we're tied 5-5 again. The final match has got to have some kind of fireworks, right? We're seeing it here with the assistant coaches on the bench. You got to love the intensity from the coaches, though. And that play is going to go out of bounds. Point to the Mavericks. And Devin and Noah said it best. If you want to be an umpire, an official, go be an official. If not, you might be making some very bad calls that people will critique you about as well. That's why we're up here in the broadcast booth, and that's why the officials get paid to officiate. 7-5 now in favor of the Mavericks. That one's going to hit the back of the head of her teammate. Ouch. That was Jazig with the error. She hit her teammate, Garby. And the Griffins now down by one. Aggie Ulis Olsen now. Sends it to the middle of the floor. That might have went out of bounds, might have bailed Green out right there for the Griffins. Blocked up front, Green can't keep it alive, point Mavericks. And all the notes we've had all weekend are finally coming to a close, as we'll have new RMAC notes next week. And make sure you guys follow the Griffins Notebook on westminstergriffins.com for all sports, men's and women's soccer, women's volleyball for this fall season, as the women's soccer team still is in overtime at the 94 minute. As the Griffins team have outshot Texas A&M Commerce by double shots, but still only have a 1-1 game there, as another point will go to the Mavericks. Timeout, Al Givens, 10-6 to score. We'll be right back after this in 60 seconds. Set 4, 10-6 in favor of the Mavericks. Audrey Green gets blocked to make it 11-6 to start after a timeout by Westminster, who has one timeout left in this set. Green spikes it over, finds a way to get past the pesky defense for a kill of her own. #15th kill of the night. She had a season-high 7 in game 1 yesterday. 17, I should say, a season-high. Looking to possibly tie that, if not break it tonight. Points at her coach, and that's a kill for Garby, who is dialing up the kills of her own on the other side. 14 kills for her and 14 kills for Olsen. Since that big shot from Olsen, though, we haven't seen her make any noise on the floor. Garby with the service error will get the point to Westminster.
Serving number 6, Taylor Harvey.
It was going to be Taylor Harvey, but she's going to take a seat, actually. Instead, she'll hand the ball off to Riley Corinne.
The Griffins, number 9, Riley Cronin.
As it's actually pronounced Riley Crowan, who sends it to the other side. And the Mavericks continue to grow their lead here in set 4, 13-8. As again, I know Al Givens, the head coach, he loves these Westminster Invitationals. He loves seeing all new talent to get him prepared for the RMAC. And he knows he's got talented players this year. He's excited for this season. As he'll give a quick question to the umpire. And the umpire answers it professionally. And now the Griffins will send it off to the other side of the Mavericks end with a serve from Katie Jaycox. Bounces off the front three of the Mavericks. And a hard spike comes down, and another kill goes for Morgan Olson. Morgan Olson now takes the lead with 15 kills with Audrey Green. Green and Olson are just fun to watch, though, from each side. I mean, you can't ask for two powerful hitters. And with Olson being a junior, she still has a lot of potential this year and next year to make noise in her conference. What a play to keep that alive by the Mavericks. Point will go to Westminster. And again. Oh, and you can hear head coach Joe Klein saying that's two bad calls. I've never seen a coach get thrown out of a volleyball game. Or maybe I have. I think it did happen a couple years ago here, but I feel like if a coach would get thrown out tonight, we might see Joe Klein be hitting the bus a little early tonight. Point goes to Westminster. Griffins are only down 3. As it's a very energetic staff that the Mavericks have, though. I'll give them that. Blocked again by Westminster. Ball handling error. Back to the Griffins side. It's only a 2-point game now. The Griffins did play a 5-set match yesterday against Fort Lewis. Found a way to win that one. Their lone win of the tournament. Fort Lewis didn't win a game, unfortunately, but again, I think they learned a lot from their team in this tournament. We'll see Fort Lewis here in a couple weeks. Timeout, 13-14. I'm going to watch closely at the huddle of what happens with the Mavericks, and I'll tell you about it when we come back. I wouldn't have wanted to have been a player in that timeout for the Mavericks. The head coach was not pleased the way her team is playing. And she let him know. And we'll see how they respond here with the Griffins only down 1 in set 4. Green was the far one back. She spikes it over to the other side. Hard shot and a kill goes there for number 16, Jan Zig. We're still tied 1-1 as the second overtime starts for the Westminster Griffins. Women's soccer team, that is. As again, we're keeping an eye on all the sports tonight. Serve goes over to the other side. That's Jane Swakowitz. As she hustles to keep this one alive for her team, and it gets back over to the Griffin side. And did anyone touch that? Yeah, they did. Point Westminster. Kill goes to number 3 for West Mini, Katie Colliver. Griffins down 1, 15-14. Make it 16-14 now on the scoreboard. Sub checks in late. Joey Veldman checks in, the junior. First time we call her name. Green called for it, and she got it back to send it to the Maverick side. And the Griffins now trail by 3 after a block goes out of bounds off Westminster. Harvey, that had some power on that one. That was not being blocked at the front of the net as Whitney Wakefield checks in for Westminster, 15-17 now. Wakefield high fives Harvey after that one. High fives Green, the front 3 for the Griffins. Green, Harvey, and Wakefield. Lamborn serving it away for Westminster is Aggie, Roas, Olsen. And then right in front of her, Jaylyn Leyenbauer. Are your 5 on the floor for the Griffins. 6 on the floor, I should say. As a kill comes there for the Mavericks. 15 kills for Garby, 15 for Olsen, leads the way for the Mavericks in a 18-15 score, as Audrey Green still 2 kills away from tying her season high at 17. Tap over the net, Harvey taps it over and says, hey, not in my house. As Taylor Harvey is starting to climb up there with 5 kills now of her own. Only one person in double digits, but Culver's 1 kill away from adding 10 to her stat line tonight. On the other end, there's 3 players in double digits for the visiting Mavericks. (16-19). After that play by the Mavericks. Lamborn. Hard shot blocked where Harvey tried to get it back over the net, but the Mavericks now have to reset their offense. Offense executed perfectly for another kill for Morgan Olsen. Now she leads the way with 16 kills on the night. Lamborn can't keep it alive after it hit the top of the net. Point Mavericks, 4 points away from closing off the Westminster Invitational, and Al Givens wants a timeout. 16-21 here in the RMAC Network. We'll be back with potentially the final set of the night on the RMAC Network from Salt Lake City, Utah. Here we go. Set 4, Griffins down by 5, 21-16. Shedler swings it over to the Griffin side to start after the timeout. Wakefield with a big power strike and a collision up front. Griffin point due to Porter and Lee crashing together. And the Griffins aren't done yet. Harvey on the serve. Out of bounds. Service error, point Mavericks. Point Mavericks once again, 23-17 now. Once again, we'll be back here September 14th for Colorado Mesa and Western State coming into town that weekend for women's volleyball action. Schedule for next week. Soccer returns to Dumpke Field as this one's going up high and kept in play by the Mavericks. We'll tell you about soccer's schedule here in just a moment. As Wakefield hits it off top of the net, but an error goes in favor of the Griffins. Dixie State and Notre Dame Day No More will come here on September 6th, Thursday. At the same time after that game, the Griffins and Texas A&M International for men's soccer will be playing Thursday night. And then finally Saturday, Notre Dame Denumar will come to Salt Lake City to take on the men's soccer team as the Griffins add another point.
Griffins.
19-23. Quickly, the women's soccer team still tied at 1-1 in overtime. We'll see the women's soccer team be back home Thursday, September 6th against Notre Dame Denumar. And then Saturday, they will have the day off, but the women's Notre Dame Denumar takes on Simon Fraser here in the RMAC Network. We'll see everyone on next week for those contests here in Salt Lake City. But an ace first for the Westminster Griffins volleyball team. Wakefield sees a 3-point deficit with her serve. Service ace, that's a blow, big blow. Potentially set point right here and match point.
Now serving set point number 7, Lauren Lowry.
Lowry looking to end things off here with a winning serve for the Mavericks. Or can the Griffins extend it? And they can't. The Invitational comes to a close. The Griffins fall in 4 sets. What a great Invitational it's been. We want to thank everyone for their time and support over the weekend. We want to thank the Fort Lewis Skyhawks, Lubbock Christian University Sheps, Minnesota Mankato, and Tremont State for all coming out here to the Westminster Invitational. We want to thank our producers, Devin, Noah, and Adrian all weekend long. We thank them for all the work they've done here. And we want to thank you for tuning in and listening to the RMAC Network, as always. From everyone here at Westminster, we want to say thank you for joining us. And for that, we're going to sign off for the weekend. Everyone have a great holiday. It's Labor Day weekend. Enjoy it. Good night from Salt Lake City.